There's a strange phenomenon I've noticed as a math educator, and I want to give it a name. I call it point slope phobia. It's the fear of this form of a linear equation. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times quantity x minus x sub 1. Apparently, this formula is spooky. But why? Maybe it's the scary subscripts, or maybe it's just too long. And we already have y equals mx plus b. Why do we have to memorize another formula? Maybe there's something in the water. Maybe it's El Nino. Maybe it's all Trump's fault. I don't know. Whatever the reason, point slope form suffers from a lack of love. It seems like y equals mx plus b gets all the attention. So in this video, I'd like to shush y equals mx plus b to the side and give point slope form its flowers. Because I love point slope form, and so should you. So how do we actually get point slope form? It actually starts with the formula for slope, which helps us to find the rate of rise over run for a linear equation, specifically given 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now, a line has only one slope, so if I were to choose any other point than x2, y2, say this point right here, the slope between x1, y1 and that other point would be exactly the same. So I can revise my formula in this way, where x and y would be the x and y value of any point on the line, not just x2 and y2. Well, any point except for right on top of x1 and y1, because then this happens, which is actually spooky. At this point, it's just an algebraic dance. We multiply both sides by x minus x1, and we get that. Now we just do-si-do about the equal sign, and we get our recognizable formula. But what's so great about that, says our friend Cow in a top hat? You just wait. If you stay awake in algebra, you're going to see a problem that looks like this. You're given a point and a slope, and you're told to find the equation of the line. Well, most students would go back to y equals mx plus b. They would substitute the x and y values of the point, namely 5 and negative 2 for x and y, and substitute the slope for m. Now you gotta find b. So you make a concerted effort to try to multiply with fractions correctly, and you get a correct answer. Cool. Now you gotta subtract with fractions. Frustrating, but you power through, and you get a value for b. And then you substitute that back into y equals mx plus b, and you get this equation that is not only ugly, but exhausting to acquire. Now let's try to do the same problem using point slope form. We would substitute the x value of 5 and the y value of negative 2 in for x sub 1 and y sub 1. We would also substitute the slope of 2 over 3 in for m. Then we just simplify the left-hand side, and we're done. Wait a second. That's it? Yeah. Cool. Now you might be thinking, that's really cool, but can we use this form to graph too? Yeah. So what if we're told to graph this equation? Well, first we have to get it into, wait a second. That's not what this video is about. Let's use point slope form. We see that the slope is equal to 2, and that the line goes through the point negative 3, 4. Now, if you're curious about that negative 3 for the x value, note that x1 is what we subtract from x. So since we're adding a 3 to x, we're subtracting a negative 3. Just like with y, we're subtracting a 4. So that means that we can make a line through the point negative 3, 4 that has a slope of 2, and that is a correct answer. Cool. Now here are some problems for you to try. Write the equation of the line with a slope of 1/3 that passes through the point negative 6, 2 using point slope form. Once you finish that, try this one. Graph the line y plus 1 equals negative 4 times quantity x minus 2, and resist the temptation to turn that into y equals mx plus b. Try both of these problems, pause the video, and unpause when you have a solution to both. All right, I'll assume we're ready to continue. For the first problem, we would have this equation. Y minus the y value of the point, 2, is equal to the slope of 1/3 times quantity x minus -6 or plus 6. Then, for the graph, we would first acknowledge that the slope is -4 and that the line passes through 2, -1. We could then graph, and the graph would look like this. It passes through 2, -1, and has a slope of -4. Now let's look at a fun word problem. 4 hours after a store opens, there's $90.24 in a cash register. If money is added to the register at an average rate of $8.96 per hour, write an equation that gives the amount of money, or really the estimated amount of money, in the register Y at time X, where X is in hours after opening. Take a moment, pause the video, and unpause the video when you have a linear equation to model this scenario. Okay, I'll assume we're ready to continue. The correct answer is y minus 90.24 is equal to 8.96 times quantity x minus 4. Let's break this down. We see there's an average rate of $8.96 added per hour. That gives us our value for m. Then we notice that 4 hours after the store opens, there's this much money. That constitutes an x and a y value, since x is in hours and y is in dollars at that hour. Hope you enjoyed this episode of The Math Show with Mr. DeClerico. Be sure to click subscribe, hit the like button, and all that good stuff.